The morning air on Ganghwa 7 bit like frozen needles. Doyen pulled his coat tighter as he walked toward the border station. His breath made white clouds in the darkness. The sun would not rise for another hour. He had worked this job for 15 years. Every morning was the same. Check the perimeter, review the overnight reports, process whatever ships had arrived during the night. It was boring work, but boring was good. Boring meant no trouble. Something moved near the heating vents on the station's east wall. Doyen stopped walking. His hand moved to the scanner on his belt. Probably just ice falling from the roof. Or maybe one of those rabbit-like creatures that lived in the rocks. But he had learned long ago to check everything. He moved closer. The shape shifted again. Too big for an animal, too small for an adult human. His fingers touched the emergency button on his communicator. Then he heard it. A voice. Quiet and broken. Please. Warm meal. Please. Doyen ran forward. His boots crunched on the frozen ground. When he rounded the corner of the building, he saw them. A woman. At least she looked like a woman. Her skin was pale blue, almost white in the dim light. Her body was thin, too thin. She wore only a light fabric dress that flapped in the cold wind. Her feet were bare against the ice. She held a child against her chest. The child was wrapped in the woman's arms, shaking. The woman's body curled around the small one like a shield. Please, the woman said again. Her teeth clicked together, not from talking, from cold. Warm meal, please. Doyen had seen many things in 15 years. He had seen smugglers and criminals. He had seen rich traders and poor workers. He had seen people angry and people scared. But he had never seen anyone look like this woman looked. Her eyes held something that made his chest hurt. Not anger, not fear, just empty hope. Like a candle about to go out. Who are you? Doyen asked. He kept his voice soft. How long have you been out here? The woman opened her mouth. Strange sounds came out, not words. Just sounds. She touched a broken device hanging from her neck. A translator, Doyen realized. Broken. The child in her arms made a small sound. Like a kitten crying. Doyen's training said one thing. Protocol said one thing. Unregistered. Aliens found outside the station boundaries must be reported. They must wait in the cold until the proper forms were filed. Until someone from the Galactic Council approved their presence. That could take days. Doyen looked at the child's blue lips, at the mother's bare feet on the ice, at the way her whole body shook. He thought about his own daughter, dead now for 7 years. He thought about cold and darkness and being alone. Come with me, he said. He held out his hand. The woman stared at his hand. She did not move. Her eyes filled with water. Tears froze on her cheeks before they could fall. It's okay, Doyen said. He pointed to the station door. Warm. Inside. Come. The woman took his hand. Her fingers felt like ice wrapped in paper. So cold it hurt to touch. So thin he could feel every bone. Doyen led them to the side entrance. The one the workers used. The one without security cameras. He would deal with the consequences later. Right now, 2 people were freezing to death on his watch. The door slid open. Warm air rushed out. The woman gasped. The child lifted her head for the first time. Her eyes were large and dark. They looked old. Too old for a child's face. Wait here, Doyen said. He sat them in the entry room. I'll get help. He ran down the corridor. His mind raced faster than his feet. He needed someone he could trust, someone who would help first and ask questions later. Hana, the medical trainee. She was always at the station early, studying in the medical bay. He burst through the door. Hana looked up from her desk, startled. She was young, maybe 25. She had only been at the station for 3 months, but Doyen had seen her sneak food to hungry travelers, had seen her give her own coat to someone who looked cold. I need your help, Doyen said, and I need you not to ask questions. Not yet. Hana stood up. She grabbed her medical bag without hesitation. "Show me." They ran back to the entry room. Hana stopped in the doorway. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh no," she whispered. "How long were they outside?" "I don't know," Doyen said. "Her translator is broken. I can't understand her." Hana dropped to her knees in front of the woman and child. She pulled thermal blankets from her bag. She wrapped them around the shaking bodies. Her hands moved fast, checking pulse points, looking at eyes, touching skin. "They're hypothermic," Hana said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were angry. "Severe malnutrition, dehydration. They need fluids, heat, food." She looked up at Doyen. "They need help now." "Can you help them here?" Doyen asked. "Before we report this?" Hana understood immediately. She nodded. "Help me move them to exam room 3, the one in the back." Together they carried the woman and child deeper into the station, away from the main corridors, away from the cameras and the other officers. In the exam room, Hana worked quickly. She set up heating lamps. She started an IV line in the woman's arm. She wrapped the child in heating blankets. She spoke softly the whole time, even though they could not understand her words. The woman watched everything. Her eyes followed Hana's every move. Slowly, the shaking began to stop. Slowly, color came back to the blue-white skin. Slowly, the child's eyes began to close. "Please," the woman said again. That same broken phrase. "Warm meal. Please." Hana looked at Doyen. "I'll get soup from the cafeteria. You stay with them." When Hana left, Doyen sat in the corner of the room. He watched the woman hold her child. He watched them breathe. He watched them slowly come back to life in the warmth. And he wondered what he had just started. Outside, the sun began to rise. Inside, alarms would soon go off. Commander Taehyun would arrive. Questions would be asked. Rules would be quoted. But for now, in this small, warm room, 2 people were safe. 2 people were not dying in the cold. Doyen decided that was enough. For now, that was enough. The woman's eyes met his across the room. She could not speak, but she did not need to. Her eyes said everything. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Commander Taehyun arrived at the station at exactly 7 in the morning. He always arrived at exactly 7. He believed in schedules and rules and proper procedures. That was why he was commander. He was reviewing supply reports when Bora, the communications officer, knocked on his office door. Her face looked worried. "Sir, we have a situation in Medical Bay 3. Taehyun looked up. "What kind of situation?" "Doyen brought in 2 unregistered aliens, a woman and child. Velthran species, no paperwork, no entry approval." Taehyun stood up so fast his chair rolled backward. "He did what?" 10 minutes later, Taehyun stood in the doorway of exam room 3. His jaw was tight. His hands were clasped behind his back. That meant he was very angry but trying to stay calm. Doyen stood between Taehyun and the medical bed. Hana stood next to him. Neither of them moved. On the bed, the woman held her child. Both were wrapped in blankets. The child was sleeping. The woman's eyes were wide and frightened. "Explain," Taehyun said. "One word, cold and sharp. I found them outside," Doyen said. They were freezing. "The child was—" "That's not what I asked," Taehyun interrupted. "I asked you to explain why you brought unregistered aliens into my station without following protocol." "They would have died, sir. That is not our concern. We have procedures. We have regulations. The Galactic Council requires—" "The Galactic Council can go to hell," Doyen said quietly. The room went silent. Hana's eyes went wide. Even the woman on the bed seemed to understand something bad had just happened. Taehyun's face went red. "My office now." In the commander's office, Taehyun paced back and forth. Doyen stood at attention. Years of military training made his back straight even though his heart was pounding. "Do you understand what you've done?" Taehyun asked. "Do you understand the position you've put this station in?" "Yes, sir." "No, I don't think you do." Taehyun pulled up files on his desk screen. Velthrans are classified as economic refugees. They have no homeworld anymore, no government to vouch for them. No resources to trade. The Galactic Council regulations are clear. Refugees without sponsorship or proof of employment cannot be granted entry to any council station or colony. They're people, sir, not cargo. They are not our people, Taehyun said. He sounded tired now. Not angry. Just tired. Look, Doyen, I understand. I do, but we can't save everyone. If we take in every refugee who shows up, where does it end? We have limited resources. Limited space. We have enough for a woman and child. Taehyun sat down. He rubbed his face with both hands. It doesn't matter what we have. It matters what the rules say. And the rules say they can't stay without proper documentation. Then what happens to them? They go back to the refugee processing ship in orbit. That's where they came from, I assume. Doyen's hands clenched into fists. That ship is a death trap. I've heard the reports. They're packing refugees in like animals. Not enough food. Not enough heat. Some ships have been spacing people to save on life support costs. That's not confirmed. You know it's true. Taehyun was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. I'll give you 48 hours. Find them sponsorship. Find them documentation. Find them somewhere to go that follows the rules. If you can't do that in 48 hours, they go back to the processing ship. Sir, 48 hours, Doyen. That's all I can give you. Back in the medical bay, Hana had made soup. Real soup with vegetables and noodles. The kind that steamed and smelled like comfort. The woman was sitting up now. The child was awake. Ji-won, the supply manager, had come to see what was happening. She stood in the doorway, holding a basket of bread. When she saw the child, her face went soft. Ji-won had 3 children of her own. Oh, Ji-won said quietly. She walked in and set the bread on the table. You poor things. The woman stared at the food. Her hand shook as she reached for it. Not from cold anymore. From hunger. From need, Hana ladled soup into a bowl. She handed it to the woman carefully. Slowly, Hana said, making gentle gestures. Drink slowly. The woman took a sip. Her eyes closed. A tear ran down her face. She whispered something in her language. Even without translation, everyone in the room understood. It meant thank you. The child reached for the bread. Ji-won broke off a small piece and handed it to her. The child ate like someone who had forgotten what food tasted like. Small bites, savoring each one, like she was afraid it would disappear. How long has she been hungry? Ji-won asked. Hana checked her medical scanner. Based on her body condition? Weeks, maybe months. Ji-won's eyes filled with tears. She turned away, pretending to organize her basket. Bora appeared in the doorway. She looked nervous. There are others here, she said quietly. From other ships. Other species. They heard we brought in Velthron refugees. She paused. They're not happy about it. In the station's common area, 4 aliens stood in a cluster. They were traders and travelers from different worlds. A Krellian with hard shell skin. A Thorn with too many arms. A Bexley with eyes like a fish. A Mordax with scales like metal. They watched Doyen as he entered the room. Their expressions were similar across their different faces. Contempt, disgust. So it's true, the Krellian said. His translator made his voice sound mechanical. Humans taking in worthless refugees. Doyen stopped walking. They're people in need, the Thorn laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding. People? Felthrons are resource drains. Their world was destroyed because they were too stupid to manage their mining contracts properly. Why should the rest of us pay for their mistakes? A corporation destroyed their world, Doyen said. His voice stayed calm. Mining accidents happen. Accidents, the Bexili said. Is that what humans call incompetence? The Mordax stepped forward. Its scales clicked together. Your species is weak. You feel too much. You let your emotions make your decisions. That's why humans will never be truly powerful in the galaxy. You care about the wrong things. Doyen felt anger burning in his chest, but he kept his face blank. Maybe you're right. Maybe we do care too much. But I'd rather be weak and kind than strong and cruel. You say that now, the Krellian said. Wait until your station is overrun with refugees. Wait until you have no food left because you gave it all away. Wait until your own children are hungry. Then see how much you care about strangers. They left the common area together, laughing, making jokes in languages Doyen's translator couldn't quite catch, but he knew they were jokes about humans, about softness, about stupidity. Back in exam room 3, Hana had finally managed to fix the woman's translator. It was old technology, cheap, but it worked. What's your name? Hana asked. The woman touched the device. Words came out. Choppy and broken, but understandable. Mirai, my name is Mirai. My daughter is Nari. Where did you come from, Mirai? Mirai's face went dark. Processing ship orbit, we were there 3 months. Before that, station Kelvar. Before that, station Thumos. Before that, she stopped. Before that, home. But home is gone now. Why did the other stations turn you away? Toyun asked. No money. No job, no sponsor. Always the same answer. Mirai looked down at Nari. We tried everywhere. No one wants Velthrons. We are reminders of failure. Of weakness. Bad luck. Hana's hands clenched. That's not right. That is how galaxy works, Mirai said simply. Everyone knows this. Only humans, she stopped. Her translator made a sound like confusion. Only humans say come inside. Only humans give warm food and ask nothing back. She looked at Doyun. Why? Why do you help? Doyun thought about his answer. He thought about his daughter, about cold nights and warm meals, about what it meant to be human. Because we can, he said finally. Because you needed help, because... He stopped. How could he explain? Because it's the right thing to do. Mirai stared at him. In Galaxy, right thing means what benefits you. You get nothing from helping us. We cannot pay. We cannot work. We are burden. You're not a burden, Hana said fiercely. You're people. That's enough, Mirai looked between them. Her translator made sounds like she was trying to speak but couldn't find words. Finally, she just said, thank you, thank you. But her eyes also held something else. Fear. Because she knew what Doyun knew. What Hana knew. 48 hours wasn't very long, and the galaxy wasn't kind to the weak. Evening came to Ganghwa 7. The temperature outside dropped even lower. Inside exam room 3, the heating lamps glowed soft and orange. Nari slept on the medical bed, her small body finally warm and fed. Mirai sat beside her, one hand resting on her daughter's back. Hana had brought dinner. Real dinner this time, not just soup. Rice and vegetables and some kind of meat. Mirai ate slowly like she was still learning how to eat again. Doyun sat in the corner pretending to work on his datapad. Really, he was just watching. Making sure they were safe. Making sure they were real. You have question, Mirai said suddenly. Her translator had gotten better as Hana adjusted it. I see it in your face. Doyun looked up. How did you end up at the processing ship? Mirai was quiet for a moment. She looked at her sleeping daughter. Then she began to speak. I was teacher. On Velthara. Our world. I taught literature, history, culture. My husband Deccan was engineer. Good man. Kind man. We had small house near the Silver Forests. Nari was born there. Happy child. Always singing. Her voice went soft. Sad. Mining corporation came. Big company. Galactic Mining Federation. They said our world had rare minerals. Deep in the core. They said they could extract safely. They said we would all be rich. Hana stopped organizing her medical supplies. She came to sit down listening. They were wrong, Mirai continued. Or they lied. I don't know. The mining went too deep, too fast. They destabilized the planetary core. The earthquake started. Small ones first, then bigger, then... She stopped. Her hands shook. Then the world began to break apart. I'm sorry, Doyun said quietly. Evacuation began. But not enough ships. Not enough time. The corporation evacuated their people first. Their equipment. Their profits. Velthrans were last. Deccan helped load children onto ships, made sure families got on. When our turn came, her voice cracked. Only 2 spots left. Me and Nari. Dakin pushed us onto the ship. He said he would catch next one. Tears ran down her face. There was no next one. The docking platform collapsed. I watched through window as the ground swallowed him. Swallowed hundreds, thousands, watched my world die. The room was completely quiet. Even the station's normal humming seemed to stop. The ships took us to processing stations, Mirai said. Temporary housing, they said. Just until we could be relocated. But no one wants refugees. No one wants people with no money, no skills that matter, no world to return to. The Galactic Mining Federation said the disaster was natural causes. Said they were not responsible, paid no compensation. We became ghosts. People without place, she looked at Doyun. We went from station to station. Always same answer. No room, no jobs. No sponsorship. 3 months ago, they put us on processing ship. Said they would find placement. But ship is just place to store unwanted people. Food is scarce. Water is rationed. Heat fails at night. People die. No one cares. How did you get off the ship? Hannah asked. Maintenance shuttle. Small. Old. Pilot was Velthran too. He said he heard there was human station nearby. He said humans were different, Kinder. I did not believe him. But what choice did I have? He smuggled us onto shuttle. Dropped us at edge of your landing area, then left before he was caught. He left you outside? Hannah's voice rose. In the cold? He had to go back. If they discovered shuttle was gone too long, they would punish others. Find excuse to reduce rations. Make conditions worse. Mirai touched her daughter's hair. We walked to your station. Took hours, so cold. Nari's feet hurt. My translator broke when I fell on ice. We reached your building, saw the heat vents. Thought maybe we could stay warm there until morning. Then your guard found us. She looked at Doyen again. Those eyes, so old, so tired. Thank you for not walking away. Most people would walk away. Doyen felt something in his chest. A tightness, a pain. He saw his own daughter's face again. Su Yin, dead at 11 years old. A transport accident, random, senseless. He had not been able to save her. But maybe he could save this one. How old is Nari? He asked. 8 cycles. In your counting, maybe 10 years. The same age Su Yin had been. The universe was cruel sometimes. Nari stirred in her sleep. She made a small sound. Mirai immediately turned, checking, soothing. The gesture was automatic, universal. The way all mothers move toward their children. Can you sing? Hannah asked suddenly. Mirai looked confused. Sing? You said Nari was always singing before. Does she sing now? Mirai's face went sad again. No, not since Velthara. Not since her father. She does not speak much either. Only when necessary. Hannah stood up. She went to her bag and pulled out her personal data pad. I want to try something. I'm going to play a song. A Korean children's song. From my world, maybe. She trailed off. Maybe it will help. She touched the screen. Soft music began to play. A simple melody. A woman's voice singing in Korean. The words were about stars and dreams and home. Nari's eyes opened. She looked at the datapad. Her expression did not change, but she was listening. Hannah sang along softly. Her voice was not professional, but it was kind, warm. After a moment, she began to teach the words to Nari. Slowly, with gestures. With smiles, Nari did not sing, but she watched. And for the first time, something like curiosity crossed her small face. Good, Mirai whispered. That is good. Later, after Hannah left to file reports and Nari had fallen back asleep, Doyen remained. He could not explain why. He should go home, should rest. But something kept him in that room. You lost someone, Mirai said. Not a question. A statement. Doyen nodded. My daughter. 7 years ago. She was around Nari's age. I am sorry. Me too. Doyen looked at the sleeping child. I couldn't save her. But maybe I can help you. Both of you. The commander said 48 hours. I know. I'm working on it. What if you cannot find solution? What if we must return to processing ship? Doyen met her eyes. Then I'll find another way. I promise. Mirai studied his face. Why do humans care so much? Other species say it is weakness. Say it makes you vulnerable. Say you will be destroyed by your own emotions. Maybe, Doyen said. But I'd rather feel too much than feel nothing at all. What kind of life is that? What kind of civilization? Successful one, apparently, Mirai said. Look at Galaxy. The strong survive. The weak disappear. That is natural order. I don't believe that. Why not? Doyen thought about how to answer. Because I've seen what happens when people stop caring. I've seen wars. I've seen colonies fall. I've seen what happens when everyone only thinks about themselves. It doesn't make civilization stronger. It makes it hollow. Empty. Not worth saving. He leaned forward. Maybe we are weak. Maybe we do care too much. But our weakness has kept us together when other species fell apart. Our caring has built colonies that work, that thrive, that people actually want to live in. Maybe that's not weakness at all. Mirai was quiet. Then she said, on Velthara we had saying. The strongest tree stands alone. The flexible reed bends and survives the storm with its neighbors. I never understood it until now. Somewhere in the station, an alert chimed. Another ship arriving. More travelers. More strangers seeking entry. Doyen's communicator buzzed. It was Bora, the communications officer. Her message was short and urgent. We have a problem. The processing ship is asking about 2 missing Velthrons. They're demanding we check our station. You need to see this. Doyen stood up. Stay here. Don't let anyone in except Hana or me. Understand? Mirai nodded. She pulled Nari closer, protective instinct taking over. As Doyen left the room, he looked back. Mother and child wrapped in blankets, holding each other in the warm light. Safe for now, but for how long? The clock was ticking. 48 hours was getting shorter. And the processing ship was asking questions. Doyen walked down the corridor, his mind racing. He needed a plan. He needed help. He needed something that would work within the rules or strong enough to break them. He thought about all the humans scattered across the colonies. All the families. All the people who, like him, believed that caring was not weakness. Maybe one person couldn't save everyone, but maybe many people together could save someone. It was time to make some calls. Time to see if the human network was as strong as he hoped. Time to see if compassion could beat bureaucracy. The night was long. The cold was deep, but inside the station warmth was spreading. And warmth, Doyen was learning, was harder to kill than anyone thought. Doyen sat in the communications room at 2 a.m. His eyes were red from staring at screens. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he kept working. Bora sat across from him, her fingers flying over her keyboard. She had not asked questions, had not hesitated. When Doyen said he needed help, she simply said, "Tell me what to do." The processing ship sent formal inquiry, Bora said, reading from her screen. They're claiming 2 Velthron refugees abandoned their assigned quarters. They want permission to search our station. We deny them. On what grounds? Sovereignty. This is human territory. They need proper warrants to search. Doyen rubbed his face. That will buy us maybe 12 hours before they push harder. What's the plan? I'm trying to find Mirai and Nari somewhere to go. Somewhere legal. Somewhere the Galactic Council can't touch them. He pulled up another screen. I've been messaging old military contacts. People I served with. People on other colonies. Any luck? Some, maybe. He showed her his message list. Captain Soman from the merchant fleet. She owes me a favor, big one. She says she might be able to provide transport if we can find a destination. That's good. It's a start, but we still need a colony willing to take them. Willing to provide sponsorship and documentation. That's harder. Bora leaned back in her chair. What about the agricultural colonies? They're always looking for workers. Most agricultural colonies follow council regulations. They won't risk sanctions for 2 refugees. Most, Bora said, but not all. What about the independent colonies? The newer ones that haven't fully joined the council yet? Doyen sat up straighter. You're thinking of the Outer Rim settlements. I'm thinking of New Jeju, colony established 15 years ago. They're technically independent. They trade with council worlds but don't answer to council law, and she pulled up information. They have a population of about 8,000. Mostly Korean settlers. Strong agricultural economy. And look at this. Their education sector is expanding. They're building new schools. Doyen felt hope stirring. Mirai was a teacher. Exactly. Bora sent him the files. Contact them. See if they need educators. If they're willing to sponsor a refugee family. You're brilliant, I know. Bora smiled. Then her smile faded. But Doyen, even if they say yes, we need to move fast. The processing ship is putting pressure on Commander Taehyun. He's getting messages from council representatives. They're threatening to inspect all human stations for unauthorized refugees. This is bigger than just Mirai and Nari now. What do you mean? I've been monitoring channels quietly, the way you taught me. Bora's voice dropped. There are hundreds of Velthron refugees on that processing ship. Maybe thousands across the sector. They're all watching to see what happens here. If humans help these 2, others will try to reach human stations. Is that a bad thing? It is if the council decides we're undermining their authority. They could sanction human colonies. Cut trade. Make life difficult. Bora met his eyes. We need to do this right. By the rules, if possible. So they can't accuse us of breaking laws. Doyen nodded. He began composing a message to New Jeju colony. Formal, professional, but with enough heart to make them understand. 3 hours later, he had responses. Captain Soman agreed to transport. She would arrive at the station in 20 hours. Her ship had space. Her crew would ask no questions. New Jeju Colony sent a longer message. The administrator, a man named Kyung-soo, wrote, "We have reviewed your request. Mirai's teaching credentials are impressive. Our colony is indeed establishing new educational facilities. We have a need for educators with experience in literature and cultural studies. We are willing to offer employment and full sponsorship. Please provide all necessary documentation, and we will expedite the application process." Doyen read it 3 times. His hands were shaking. "We did it," he said. Bora looked over his shoulder. "We did it." There's a legal path, but then another message came in. This one was from someone Doyun did not know. A woman named Yoonji. Her title said Human Rights Coordinator, Outer Colonies. Officer Doyen. I have been made aware of the situation at your station. I work with refugee advocacy across human space. I want you to know that you are not alone. There is a network of people ready to help. If you need additional support, resources, or legal assistance, contact me immediately. What you're doing matters. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The message included connection information for dozens of other people. Lawyers, doctors, colony administrators, transport captains. All humans, all offering help. How did she know? Doyen asked. Bora looked slightly guilty. I might have sent some messages too, to human advocacy groups, to other stations. I thought, maybe we should let people know what was happening. Maybe others would want to help. You started a chain reaction. Is that bad? Doyen looked at the list of names. The offers of help. The solidarity. No, it's perfect. He checked the time. 6 in the morning. Mirai would be awake soon. He should tell her the good news. But when he reached the medical bay, he found Hana already there. She was not alone. Jiwon stood in the corner holding fresh clothes. Child-sized clothes for Nari, Jiwon said. My youngest daughter outgrew them. I thought, she stopped. They should have proper clothes. Not just blankets. Nari sat on the bed looking at the clothes. Colorful shirts, warm pants, a soft jacket. She touched them carefully like they might break. I also brought these, Jiwon said. She pulled out a box of crayons and paper. My children love to draw. Maybe Nari does too. Mirai's translator made sounds like crying and laughing at the same time. You are very kind, too kind. We can never repay this. You don't need to repay kindness, Jiwon said. That's not how it works. Doyen cleared his throat. Everyone turned to look at him. I have news, he said. He told them about New Jeju, about the job offer, about Captain Soman's transport, about the legal sponsorship. Mirai stood up slowly. Her legs seemed weak. You found us a home? I found you a chance. A real one, legal, safe. Mirai sat back down, hard like her legs stopped working. Nari moved closer to her mother, concerned. But Mirai was not collapsing. She was crying, big tears that ran down her face like rivers. I did not think this was possible, she whispered. I thought we would die on processing ship, or be spaced to save resources. I thought she could not continue. Hana sat next to her, put an arm around her shoulders, said nothing, just held her while she cried. Doyen turned away, gave them privacy. He found Bora in the hallway. Commander Taehyun wants to see you, Bora said. Right now. Doyen's stomach dropped. Is it bad? I don't know. But he has someone with him, a council representative. In the commander's office, Taehyun sat behind his desk. Next to him stood an alien Doyen did not recognize. Tall, gray skin like stone, eyes that did not blink. This is Adjudicator Krell, Taehyun said. His voice was carefully neutral. From the Galactic Council Refugee Management Division. Officer Doyen, Krell said. His translator made his voice sound official and cold. I understand you have been harboring unregistered refugees. I found 2 people freezing to death. I provided emergency humanitarian assistance without following proper protocols. The proper protocols would have killed them. Krell's expression did not change. Regulations exist for a reason.
The galaxy cannot function if every species makes exceptions based on emotions.
Your actions have created a problem. What kind of problem? Other Velthran refugees have learned about this incident. They are attempting to reach human stations across the sector. Processing ships are losing control of their populations. The Council views this as a security concern. Doyen felt his jaw tighten. Security concern? You mean people wanting to not die is a security concern? I mean chaos is a security concern. Order must be maintained. Order. Doyen took a step forward, Taehyun made a warning sound, but Doyun kept talking. You call it order when people are packed into ships like cargo. When children starve, when families freeze. That's not order. That's cruelty with paperwork. Krell tilted his head. You are emotional. Typical for humans. This is why your species struggles with governance. You let feelings dictate policy. Maybe, but at least we feel something. The room was quiet. Taehyun looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Krell looked at Doyun like examining an interesting insect. You're refugees, Krell said finally. Mirai and Nari, do you have legal placement for them? Yes, New Jeju colony. Full employment and sponsorship. Approved and documented. Convenient. Legal. Krell was silent for a long moment. Then he said, very well. If the documentation is proper, the council cannot object. However, I must inform you that if this becomes a pattern, if human stations continue to undermine refugee management protocols, there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? Sanctions, trade restrictions, increased inspections. Your species' reputation in the council is already questionable. Do not make it worse. He left without another word. Taehyun waited until the door closed. Then he let out a long breath. You're playing a dangerous game, Doyun. I know, sir. But... Taehyun stood up. You did it legally. That matters. If you had just smuggled them out, the council would have used it as an excuse to crack down on all human stations. But you found a proper solution. You followed the rules even while bending them. Does this mean... It means they can go. Tomorrow. Get them on Salmon's ship before the council changes its mind. And Doyun? Taehyun's expression softened slightly. Good. The next morning began with a problem. Captain Soman's ship was still 12 hours away, but the processing ship had moved. It was now much closer to the station. Close enough to launch shuttles. Close enough to cause trouble. Doyun stood in the control room watching the display screen. The processing ship looked like a massive gray box. Ugly, functional, full of people who had nowhere else to go. They're hailing us, Bora said. Again. 5th time this morning. Ignore it. Commander Taehyun says we can't ignore them forever. Doyun knew she was right. He knew this moment would come. He just hoped it would come after Mirai and Nari were safely gone. But the galaxy rarely gave people what they hoped for. Put them through, he said. The screen changed. A face appeared. Not the adjudicator from before. This was different. Human face, but cold. Hard. A woman with gray hair and eyes like ice. I am Administrator Rin, she said. Senior Coordinator for Refugee Management, Human Division, Galactic Council. Doyun felt his stomach turn. A human working for the council. Working against other humans, what do you want? He asked. I want you to stop making my job difficult, Rin said. The Velthron refugees you're harboring need to be returned to proper processing channels immediately. They have legal sponsorship. New Jeju colony. Everything is documented. Documentation that was rushed through in less than a day. Suspicious, wouldn't you say? Legal is legal. Perhaps. Rin's expression did not change. But consider the bigger picture, Officer Doyun. You've created a situation. Other refugees now believe human stations are safe havens. They're abandoning their assigned quarters. They're trying to reach human territory. This is creating chaos across multiple sectors. Good. Maybe that chaos will force the council to actually address the refugee crisis. Rin laughed. It was not a kind sound. You think you're a hero? You think you're doing the right thing. But all you're doing is making everything worse. The council operates on order, on rules. When you break those rules, even for good reasons, you undermine the entire system. The system is broken. The system is efficient. It processes millions of refugees every year. It finds placements when possible. It maintains stability. Your emotional outburst is threatening that stability. My emotional outburst saved 2 lives. 2 lives. Rin leaned forward. 2 lives out of millions. Do you know how many refugees die every day in this galaxy? Thousands. Tens of thousands. You can't save them all. So we prioritize. We allocate resources efficiently. We make difficult decisions so the system keeps functioning. And the people who die in your efficient system? They're just acceptable losses? They're reality. Harsh reality. The kind that soft-hearted humans like you refuse to accept. Doyun stared at her. at this human woman who had forgotten what humanity meant. How do you sleep at night? Very well. Because I understand how the galaxy works. You should learn that lesson before you cause real damage. The screen went dark. Rin had cut the connection. Bora looked at Doyen. She's human. She used to be, Doyen said quietly. 2 hours later, another message came. This one was broadcast, public, sent to every station and ship in the sector. Doyen watched it in the common area with most of the station staff. It was Adjudicator Krell, speaking in formal council language about order and protocol and the importance of following established procedures. Speaking about how certain species, particularly humans, were demonstrating concerning patterns of rule-breaking, speaking about consequences. When it ended, the other aliens in the common area were nodding, agreeing, looking at the humans with expressions that ranged from contempt to pity. But then Bora did something unexpected. She pulled up her own communication system, started typing. Within minutes, she had sent a message to every human station, every human ship, every human colony in range. The message included the full story. Mirai and Nari, the freezing night, the processing ship, the refusal of help from other species, the human response, the legal solution, everything. What are you doing? Taehyun asked. He had rushed into the common area when he saw what was happening. What Doyen taught me, Bora said. Documentation. Transparency. Let people see what's really happening. The response was immediate. Messages flooded in, from humans everywhere, offers of help, expressions of support, anger at the Council's treatment of refugees, and something else. Something bigger. Humans across multiple colonies started organizing, creating networks, sharing resources, setting up systems to help refugees that the Council had abandoned. Within 4 hours, it had a name. The Warm Meal Initiative, named after the words Mirai had spoken that first cold morning. Taehyun watched it happen. He looked tired, worried, but also something else, maybe proud. This is going to cause problems, he said. I know, Bora replied. Big problems, I know. The Council will not be happy. Good. Taehyun almost smiled. Almost. In the medical bay, Mirai watched the news reports with Hana. Her translator worked perfectly now. She understood everything that was happening. Everything that she and Nari had started just by being cold and hungry and desperate. This is because of us, she said. No, Hana replied. This is because people decided to care. You just gave them a reason to show it. But the Council is angry. The other species are angry. What if they punish human colonies? Then we deal with it together. Nari was drawing again. More pictures. She had drawn dozens since getting the crayons. Pictures of her old home. Pictures of her new hope. Pictures of the humans who had helped her. One picture showed Doyen. She had drawn him very tall with kind eyes. Next to him she had drawn her mother. And herself. All holding hands. All smiling, she showed it to her mother. Mirai's eyes filled with tears. She is healing, Hana said softly. Children are resilient. She will be okay. Because of you. Because of all of you. Because you were brave enough to ask for help. Because you didn't give up. At hour 46 of the 48-hour deadline, Captain Soman's ship finally arrived. It was a merchant vessel, old but reliable. The kind of ship that traveled the trade routes carrying supplies and occasionally passengers who did not ask too many questions. Soman herself came to the station. She was a woman in her 50s with short gray hair and hands that looked like they had worked hard for many years. She greeted Doyen with a tight hug. You finally called in that favor, she said. It was important. I know. I read Bora's messages. Everyone has read them. She looked around the station. Where are they? Being prepared for transport. Medical clearance. Final documentation. We need to move fast. The processing ship is positioning for interdiction. They might try to stop us. Can they do that? Legally? No, practically. They can try. Soman's expression hardened. But they'll have to get through me first. And I have friends. Other merchant captains. We've been talking. If the processing ship tries anything, they'll find themselves surrounded by human vessels. Let's see them start a fight with 50 merchant ships watching. Doyen felt something in his chest. Hope. Pride. The human network is real. Always has been. We just needed a reason to activate it. Someone touched his shoulder. You gave us that reason. The final hour was chaos. Paperwork being filed, medical reports being finalized, supplies being loaded onto Soman's ship, and throughout it all messages kept coming. Humans from everywhere expressing support, offering resources, asking how they could help more refugees. Administrator Rin sent one final message. It was short and cold. You have started something you cannot control. When the consequences come, remember that I warned you. But Doyen also received another message from Yunji, the human rights coordinator. You did good work, officer. Real good work. We're organizing a formal refugee assistance network across human space. Legitimate. Legal. Big enough that the council can't ignore it. You're invited to join the coordinating committee if you want. Let me know. In the docking bay, Mirai and Nari stood with their few belongings. Jiwan had packed food for the journey. Hana had prepared medical supplies. Bora had given them a data pad loaded with information about New Jeju colony. Doyen walked them to Soman's ship. Each step felt heavy. He had known them for less than 2 days, but somehow it felt longer, felt important. At the boarding ramp, Mirai stopped. She turned to face Doyen. For a long moment, she just looked at him. Then she stepped forward and hugged him. Tight, genuine. Thank you, she said. For seeing us as people. For caring when no one else would. For teaching me that kindness still exists. Doyen hugged her back. Take care of each other. Build a good life. Be happy, Nari tugged on his sleeve. When he looked down, she held up another drawing. This one showed a star, bright and yellow. Below it, she had written in careful letters. Hope. For you, she said. To remember. Doyen took the picture. His vision blurred. I'll keep it forever. They boarded the ship. The ramp closed. The engines powered up. Through the window, Doyen could see Mirai and Nari looking out. Waving, he waved back. The ship lifted, smoothly, professionally. Captain Soman knew what she was doing. As promised, other merchant ships appeared, surrounding Soman's vessel, creating a protective formation. The processing ship did nothing, just watched. Maybe they understood the message. Maybe they realized that this was a fight they could not win. 3 days after Mirai and Nari left, the galaxy began to notice. Doyen watched news reports from his small quarters. Every channel carried the story. Human stations providing refuge, the warm meal initiative spreading across colonies, refugees abandoning processing ships to seek human help, the Galactic Council calling emergency sessions. Some coverage was supportive. Many species questioned why humans cared so much about people who could not benefit them. But what surprised Doyen was the other response. The quiet one, the one happening in corners and private channels. Young aliens from various species were asking questions. Why did their governments not help? Why was efficiency more important than life? Why was kindness considered weakness? Their elders did not have good answers. They had excuses. They had tradition. They had the way things had always been. But they did not have answers that satisfied a generation looking at humans and wondering if maybe there was a better way. Bora showed Doyen the communication logs. We're getting requests, she said. From other refugees. From other stations. Human stations across 6 sectors are reporting the same thing. People are showing up. Asking for warm meals. Asking for help. How many people? Hundreds so far. Maybe thousands soon. Bora looked worried. We can't handle thousands. We don't have resources for that kind of scale. Then we need to get more resources. From where? Doyen did not have an answer. Not yet, but the human colonies did. 2 days later, a message came from Earth Central, the main government. The one that coordinated all human colonies and spoke for humanity in the Galactic Council. Governor Isel Park appeared on the communication screen. She was an old woman, nearly 80, with white hair and eyes that had seen much. She had been governor for 20 years. She was respected even by alien species. Officer Doyen, she said, I've been reading about your situation. Ma'am, I followed all proper protocols. The documentation was, she held up her hand. I'm not here to reprimand you. I'm here to ask for your help, Doyen blinked. My help? The Warm Meal Initiative. It's causing waves, big ones. The Council is threatening sanctions if we don't stop. Other species are watching to see how we respond. Some are sympathetic. Many are hostile. This could become a major diplomatic incident. I understand. I didn't mean to. I'm not finished. Governor Park leaned forward. We've been discussing this at the highest levels. Earth Central, the colony governments, military leadership. And we've made a decision. We're going to support the initiative, officially. Doyen's mouth fell open. Officially? We're announcing the Human Compassion Protocol, a formal policy across all human space. Any refugee seeking humanitarian assistance will be given temporary sanctuary at human stations. We'll provide basic needs, food, shelter, medical care, and we'll work to find them permanent placement. The Council will never allow that. The Council doesn't control our internal policies. They can try sanctions, but they need us more than we need them. Human colonies produce significant resources. Human ships carry most of the trade. Human technology is competitive with anyone's. They can threaten all they want. But starting a trade war with humanity would hurt them more than it hurts us. Doyen felt dizzy. This is huge, and this is necessary. You showed us that, Doyen. You and Bora and Hana and everyone at your station. You showed us what we should have been doing all along. We're just making it official. What about Administrator Rin? The Council's human representatives? Governor Park's expression went cold. Administrator Rin and others like her have forgotten what we stand for. They've been recalled. They don't speak for humanity anymore. The broadcast went out that same day. Governor Park announced the Human Compassion Protocol to the entire galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity would help those who needed help. No exceptions. No apologies. The response was immediate and divided. Some species praised the policy, called it brave, called it moral. These were mostly younger governments, smaller colonies, species that had been overlooked by the Council's efficiency calculations. But the major powers reacted with fury. The Krellian Empire called it destabilizing. The Thorn Collective called it emotional weakness. The Council itself issued formal condemnation, and the processing ships began to fall apart. Without the threat of having nowhere else to go, refugees started leaving. Not just Velthrans. Other species, too. Anyone who had been stuffed into those floating prisons started seeking human stations. Started asking for warm meals. Started hoping. Within a week, 3 processing ships were completely empty. Their crews abandoned them. The refugees were gone, seeking human help. The Council tried to stop it, but how do you stop hope? At Doyen Station, the situation became intense. 20 refugees arrived the first week. 50 the second week. By the third week, they had over 200 people seeking help. The station was designed for maybe 100 people total. Now it held 3 times that. The corridors were full. The common areas were packed. Food supplies ran low. Medical facilities were overwhelmed, but help came. Other human stations sent supplies. Merchant captains made special runs. Colonies sent medical teams. The human network mobilized like a machine, coordinating resources, moving people, finding solutions. Kyung-soo from New Jeju Colony contacted Doyen directly. We can take more, he said. Our harvest was excellent this year. We have room. We have work. Send us whoever needs a home. Other colonies made similar offers. Agricultural worlds needed workers. Mining colonies needed engineers. Research stations needed diverse perspectives. Teaching colonies needed educators. Not everyone was qualified for every job. Not everyone fit every colony. But the humans made it work. They created matching systems. They provided training. They adapted. And slowly the refugees stopped being refugees. They became immigrants. They became workers. They became neighbors. They became people with homes again. But the Council was not finished. They called a special session. Demanded human representatives attend. Made threats. Governor Park went personally. Doyen watched the proceedings via broadcast. The great chamber of the Galactic Council. Hundreds of species represented, all of them looking at the small group of humans with various expressions. The Council Prime, a Mordax named Kellax, spoke first. His scales clicked together as he moved. Humans have violated established protocols. They have undermined the refugee management system. They have created chaos. This cannot continue, Governor Park stood, small and old and completely unafraid. We have broken no laws. We have provided humanitarian assistance within our own territory. That is our right. Your actions have caused system-wide disruption.
Processing ships are empty.
Refugees are abandoning assigned locations. The order we have maintained for centuries is collapsing. Good, your order was cruel. If it's collapsing, maybe you should build something better. The chamber erupted. Voices shouting. Translators struggling. Kellax pounding for silence. When quiet returned, Kellax said, "You cannot save everyone. You do not have infinite resources. What will you do when millions seek your help? When your colonies are overrun? When your own people suffer because you gave everything to strangers?" Governor Park smiled. Not a friendly smile. A sharp one. "You're assuming we're alone in this. You're assuming other species won't follow our example. But look around this chamber. Really look. At the young representatives. At the smaller colonies. At the species who have been ignored by your efficiency calculations. They're watching. They're learning. And some of them are already starting to help too." She was right. Doyen could see it even through the broadcast. Some representatives nodded. Some looked thoughtful. Some looked uncomfortable, like they were questioning things they had never questioned before. "This is not just about refugees anymore," Governor Park continued. "This is about what kind of galaxy we want. One where only the strong survive and everyone else is expendable? Or one where we take care of each other? Where compassion is a feature, not a bug. Compassion does not pay for ships, does not build stations, does not feed populations, no. But it builds trust, it builds relationships, it builds civilizations worth having." She looked around the chamber. "Humans will continue the compassion protocol. We invite other species to join us. Those who want to help will coordinate with you. Those who want to oppose us, that's your choice. But we will not stop." Kellax's scales clicked rapidly. Anger, frustration, there will be consequences. "Then bring them. We're ready." The session ended badly. The council voted to impose sanctions on human trade. Limited ones, but real. Economic pressure. Diplomatic isolation. The message was clear. Fall in line or suffer. But 3 species voted against the sanctions. Small ones. Young ones. And they announced they would join the compassion protocol. Would help refugees too. Would stand with humanity. 3 species did not seem like much. But it was a start. And starts could become movements. Back at the station, Doyen gathered his staff. Everyone was exhausted. They had been working double shifts for weeks, managing hundreds of refugees, coordinating with other stations, dealing with paperwork and supplies and 1,000 small crises. The council imposed sanctions, he told them. "This is going to get harder. Resources might become scarce. We might face pressure." Anyone who was 6 months had passed since that cold morning when Doyen found Mirai and Nari freezing outside the station. 6 months since everything changed. The galaxy looked different now. Not completely different, not perfectly changed, but different enough to notice. Different enough to matter. Doyen stood at the viewport of his station looking out at the stars. The station itself had been expanded twice. More modules, more living quarters, more facilities. It now housed 500 people permanently, with capacity for another 300 temporarily. What had been a simple border station was now a major refugee processing center. But unlike the old processing ships, this place was warm, clean, safe. People here had beds. Regular meals, medical care, education for children, job training for adults, hope. Behind him, the common area buzzed with activity. Dozens of species mixed together. Felthrans and humans and Thorn and even a few Krellians who had fled their own rigid society. Children played together, speaking mixtures of languages that created new words. Adults worked together, learning from each other, building community. Hana ran the medical center now. She had a staff of 20, including several refugee doctors who had been given the chance to practice again. She moved through the common area, checking on a pregnant Velthron woman, laughing with a Thorn child, coordinating with her team via communicator. She looked tired but happy, purposeful. Bora had been promoted 3 times. She now coordinated refugee placement across an entire sector. Her office had 6 assistants. Her communication logs filled entire servers. She tracked thousands of refugees, matched them with colonies, arranged transport, solved problems. She was brilliant at it. Natural. Like she had been born for this work. G1 managed the supply networks. She had connections with merchant captains across human space and beyond. She could get anything to anywhere in record time. When asked how she did it, she just smiled and said, "You treat people well, they treat you well back." Simple economics. Taehyun was now regional commander for the entire sector. He oversaw 15 stations, all doing similar work. He had fought the bureaucracy, bent the rules, and made it all legal. He was respected by the council now, even if they did not like him. They could not argue with results. And the results were undeniable. The human compassion protocol was working. More than working, thriving. 63 human colonies had joined. 8 non-human species had adopted similar policies. Hundreds of thousands of refugees had been relocated, given homes, given lives. The council's sanctions had hurt. Some human colonies struggled. Trade had been disrupted. Prices went up. Resources became scarcer. But humans adapted. They always did. They created new trade networks, found new partners, innovated solutions, and gradually even the council began to realize the sanctions hurt everyone, including themselves. The processing ships still existed. Some refugees still ended up there, but they were smaller now, better maintained. And they actually processed people toward real destinations instead of just storing them until they died. The council had been forced to reform, slowly, reluctantly, but reform was happening. Doyen's communicator chimed. A message from New Jeju Colony. From Kyungsoo. Thought you'd want to see this. Mireille gave her first public lecture today. About Velthran literature and culture. We had to move it to the main hall. Over 400 people attended. Humans and aliens both. She's becoming quite popular. Nari is top of her class, by the way. Talking about becoming a doctor like Hana someday. Thought that would make you smile. Attached was a video. Doyen played it. The image showed Mireille standing before a large audience. She wore professional clothes now. She looked healthy, strong, confident. She spoke about poetry from her lost world, about stories that should not be forgotten, about culture that survived even after planets died. The audience listened with complete attention. When she finished, they applauded. Long, genuine, appreciative. In the front row, Nari sat with other children. She clapped the loudest. Her smile was bright enough to light the room. Doyen watched it twice. His eyes burned. Good tears this time. The best kind.